Alrighty, folks. One of the things I enjoy doing is bringing you new faces with new stories. Today we have the one and only Jacob, who I met at the most recent Vegas event, and many people said, "Got to get Jacob on the podcast." And here we go. How you doing, buddy? What's going on?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Michael. Yeah, the event was a total blast, so I'm glad to be able to also connect with you here, share more with your audience.
Absolutely. Well, let's tell them who is Jacob. What are you doing? What's kind of your resume, both professionally and real estate related? What's going on, Jacob?
So look, I'm a W-2 employee, and I have, my folks said, hey, go to school, get a good job, and I followed that path. I've made for a good employee. I have about 2 decades in the cybersecurity, IT audit, data privacy compliance space. So a little bit familiar. I'm auditing the technologies, Michael, that you were probably selling
yes,
a long time
probably
ago.
Well. Yes.
So I've been doing that for the last couple of decades. Started a company and exited that right before the pandemic, and had some seed money to begin in my real estate investing journey. The whole bug around real estate investing really started when I had to remodel a basement. We were needing more space, and I was like, okay, behind a laptop all day, why not put, my attention and efforts a little bit in the evenings, on remodeling that. I kind of caught the DIY bug, and I kind of ran with that. And so a few months later, we bought our first investment property. As I kind of shared with you, we focus on townhouses. I'm pretty risk adverse. So I like a 6-inch bar. I don't like necessarily shooting for, rolling the dice. I wanted something that I felt fairly comfortable with. And so, we started our investing really in March of 2020, and, steadily, built our portfolio 1 rental at a time, 1 to 2 a year, right? Yeah. Typically speaking. And that's worked really well for us so far.
Well, that's the power of 1 rental at a time and again, it's really, our stories are very similar, maybe a decade apart. Good W-2 employees, went to college, lived below our means, and we just started, right? And I don't know what your goal was when you bought that first rental, but mine was only ever to get to 4. I never had big dreams, big visions. It was like, hey, if I got to 4, I'd have options at 65. That was the extent of my dream. I'm curious, when you bought that first one in 2020, did you have a goal of 4 or 10, or did you think like that, or what was going on?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just want us, and I caught this from Cody's presentation at ORAD. One of the key takeaways from his talk was just being able to provide a degree of security for his loved ones and his family, right? And what I saw is, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everybody needs shelter, right?
And water, food, shelter.
Exactly. And so, I just said, hey, I want more security for my family. People always need a place to live. I'm really good with my hands. I'm very intelligent, and I know it's a people business, and I can provide good customer service. And so we started, that path, and I was like, hey, a few $100 a month per door, if we do this enough times, we'll have some flexibility. If somebody gets laid off, heaven forbid, we'll not have to scramble, sell a bunch of things that we're not ready to sell and stuff like that, just to kind of, keep the engine moving.
Yeah, so. I love that. The other thing you said that I think is really important for W-2 employees is you don't got to get wild with this, right? There's a lot of things on social media, burr this, burr that, co-living, Airbnb arbitrage. There's all these things that, you could tackle, and maybe they sound good on the surface because they're basically, no money down or very little money down. Yeah. And you're like, dude, I want a 6-inch bar. Let me put 20% down. Let me buy 1 a year, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. And, like you said, just build systems, have it be repeatable, you know what I mean? And, I think that's the winning formula. Give it time. So
time. Yeah. That damn step 3 of getting wealthy, that decade really trips people up.
Yeah. I think it does. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that are in the journey with you. And that's part of why the school community is actually really valuable to me, is now I'm seeing all these other people rowing on the same boat, rowing in the same direction, which has been great. But, I also went down the path of doing self-management on our units as well, which I think a lot of people that are starting off, in order to kind of have the margin that they may need in order to kind of save for number two or
Yeah.
you know, that self-management probably is a reality for more of your audience and for
I
more
agree.
folks that are really getting started, you know what I mean? Just so that they can kind of keep going, right? Because as soon as you buy that first one, you kind of get the bug, you know, you get motivated, like, okay, I think I can figure this out, you know?
Yeah, I agree. So
So,
when you look at your portfolio, how far is your farthest unit from your house today? Are we talking minutes, hours? What are we talking?
so, you know, it's so funny. I saw you speak at Flip Hacking in 2023 in the buy box, and we had probably published our buy box on our social site, maybe like 6 months before you gave that talk. And I'm like, he's doing what we did. Like, hey, it's like 2 3 bedroom townhouses in this zip code at these price points with this amount of square feet, you know. So long story short, our buy box was within 5 minutes of our house, within 5 minutes of Home Depot, Menards, or Lowe's, because we were self-managing, right?
Sure.
And we didn't want apartment buildings to be right next to our units, and we wanted a few solid employers in the area. So
The buy box is such a missing piece for most W-2 employees because they always feel like they have to rush or do more. And it's like, no, you've got to get hyper focused. Right. Focus is is how you win. Otherwise, lack of focus is your Achilles heel, and you'll just go down. Right. Just that focus you have is amazing.
Yeah. And you know what? I have it, right? I have it on Zillow on my phone. It's like, hey, I pop it open. I got the buy box. I know that there's 25, 30 on my buy box at any given time. They're not all for me, but I'm aware of where they're at in the sales cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's the key. And the beauty when you have this buy box and you have the daily discipline is when something swims in, you see it. Something swims out, you see it. But also, you know when to jump when an oddball or a unique opportunity comes, and you could strike before. That's the power of the buy box, and more people need to stop sleeping on that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Fast forward to where we are today, still self-managing. We are now 2,500 miles away. So our portfolio is in Minneapolis, and we moved to San Diego. And I know for all of its critiques on California, I will say that the weather is much better than Minneapolis, which can be like an ice.
That's not hard. That's not hard. Okay. I've been to Minnesota.
Yeah. So, but that said, you know, we got up to a sizable portfolio and we started needing a little bit more assurance and support. And so we did end up going down the path of like pursuing a partnership with Hemlane and kind of figuring out how do we, because to me, I still think of Hemlane as a partner in the property management spot. It's not fully replacing, you know, outsourcing all aspects of property management, but it has added depth to our bench of service professionals and our team kind of managing our portfolio. So that's been really helpful too.
Yeah, that's what I think Dana has really unlocked with Hemlane is it's really empowered W-2 employees to get the benefits of self-management without the additional headache of vetting service providers. Because that's where you go sideways in this game, is you're trying to vet painters and electricians and all of that. So yeah, I think Hemlane is a great answer for out-of-state investors.
For sure.
You know, I'm glad to talk to her every week. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, she's a wealth of knowledge. Yep.
Oh yeah, she's very passionate, which you got to love when the CEO is that passionate. So I am curious when you look, you know, this was your first ORAD event, right? The one in Vegas that just happened.
It was, yes.
What did you think? What you spent a couple of bucks to come out there? You were apparently browbeat by Mark, the financial firefighter. What'd you think?
No. So I have a lot of nice things to say about the event. I think for anybody that's spent any time in the, you know, podcast universe and, you know, all these other resources that are currently out there. And I've been to several conferences. I will say that yours is by far the most intimate, where people are really actually going around introducing themselves and actually connecting. You know, which makes it really good. I think school, people don't really understand the power of school until you like start engaging. You see people asking the questions that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And then because you only have so much time in a day, it's like, gosh, I'm really glad somebody asked that question on my behalf. Right. And so I think that was really helpful as well. Presenters at the ORAD event were incredibly knowledgeable. I think that they provided a lot of really, really helpful information to the people that were there, and they stuck around for the most part. And, we're really willing to break bread. I think part of, what breaks people down is just that downtime. The ability to share in between sessions and during lunch was really, really great for me and connecting with a lot of the people in your community.
Yeah, that 2-hour lunch is not going away because it's just, the first hour you feed yourself and then you're like, well, I got another hour. I might as well talk to people. Right.
Yeah. And keep the coffee coming, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people addicted to the bean and they're
Sure.
back there and just kind of having lighthearted discussion of, hey, how's it going? What's your pain point? So yeah, it's great.
And then the school community, I really do think that'll be the thing I'm most known for in a year or so, because you said it earlier, and I think it's true. Everybody's in the same boat, going the same direction, just at different places and at different rates. But the fact that we're all going the same way and not fighting each other or going in circles,
right,
is huge.
Yep. Agreed. And there's sub tribes within the ORAD community that are specific to everybody, right?
Yeah.
I just joined the out-of-state real estate investors piece, right? Because technically I migrated away from my portfolio, but like now I'm kind of an out-of-state, and people are like, hey, how do you do it? And I have a different way of doing it, and other people have their own nuanced. And so if you can share those nuggets and like, wow, that works really effectively for them, right? So
that's something that people are sleeping on. Sorry to interrupt, is the accountability groups. There's, I think, 11. There might even be 12 now, like out-of-state investing, ladies of ORAD, Gen Z, contractor special. Because again, something that I really hold myself accountable for is I only talk about what I can talk about.
Right.
I'm not going to pretend to be a short-term or a mid-term rental guy, but we have others in the community that are. So that's a lot of fun to see those other groups spin up.
Totally. I was going to say, the other thing I really appreciated about your event is you brought some of your teams there, some of your partners that you actually do business with and stuff like that. Selfishly, part of the reason I attended the ORAD event is because I wanted to shake the hands of Dustin and Jonathan from Convoy, because I'm underwriting a loan right now. And in business, right, I've been doing this a long enough time, just like yourself. You really want to be close to the decision maker as many times as you possibly can, right? I mean, I sat down and I talked to the folks from Steadily, and I was like, hey, what do you think about HO6 policies? And you're able to like really ask them real time like questions. And that's very valuable, right? I mean, and hey, I shook Dana's hand. I wanted her, and I'd been on a few conference calls. We brought our portfolio on, but I wanted to look at her and have her know that I'm a person. You know what I mean? That's huge. So
I will continue to do that. One of the things, I have lots of goals with these events. Obviously, it's about the community first, but it's also thanking the people that take care of me all year.
Yeah,
I want them to feel special and get some sun.
Yeah, and I think that you do a really great job of handing out flowers throughout the entire 2-day event. I thought just the recognition there and giving a little bit of the spotlight, right? And I think just on a recent communication that you had on your pod, you said, hey, ORAD isn't necessarily Zuber. You might be the tip of the spear, but it's really like the legions of people that are all doing the work every day. And that's who needs to be kind of recognized. No, bringing it down to that level is awesome.
No, that's the key to make this thing outlive me is it's, my name's on the book and all of that. But in order for this thing to outlive me, which is my goal, I have to have that next layer of, or legion, as you called it, speaking the same stories. And I think we're building. I really felt it in year 3. Like year 1 was just a party.
Yeah.
Right. It was a 50,000 sub party, which was great, but it was a party. Year 2 was kind of trying to feel out what this thing could be. And for the first time ever, I am comfortable saying year 3 was a family reunion. Right. Those 2 words mean something to me because frankly, I don't like my family. So I'm like, why am I getting a reunion with my family? But I don't know what else to call it. Right. Because the people interact, they know each other, they socialize, everybody's open. Year 3 was a family reunion. I don't know what else to call it.
Attracted some talent, man. You got a few ringers like out here that are go-givers and really pouring into other people. I will say, as you look at, what does year 4, year 5 look like? I think, if you can lean into those subgroups that are in your school community, like, hey, have there be an out-of-state investor panel.
Yes.
Or, hey, lady of I love that idea. And by the way, I met all the ladies of ORAD and wow, they're sharp.
Killers.
They're like in this to win this, and they're like really dialed in. So I think
Yeah, so you're new to the family, so I'll get your honest feedback. I
Yeah.
now feel comfortable saying my two major themes, because for me, all these events start with an overarching theme, right?
Yep.
Year two was couples, year three was Gen Z, year four is going to be what's working now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it is going to be leaning in on. I could see probably 4 panels because I got to organize the day. But yeah,
Yep.
ladies of ORAD, out of state investing, short and midterm, we'll probably push those together. And then
Yeah.
again, that's just another opportunity for me to show love to the community and again talk about what's really working. And then
Totally.
I am really playing with this teenager idea because we had 22 teenagers last year. I'm
Yeah.
hoping for 50 next year. I want the overarching theme for them to be retire by, or no, I shouldn't say retire, be financially free by 30. That's the goal
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
teenagers. What do you think?
And I mean, just think of how incredible and what type of like life that would open up for them, right? People having more purpose-driven
Yes.
existence, right? Which is just incredible. Everybody talks about money. Money is just a tool to kind of facilitate how you spend your time and some of the
Yes.
optionality. And for folks like Cody, you know, they think of it as security, and that's true too, right? But man, that would be powerful for those younger audiences. I think other really cool talk tracks would be maybe around property management,
Mm,
how people do it effectively, and then what technologies really specifically, what tech are people using to do all of that they do to manage their portfolios, especially from door 1 to door 4, right? Hey, are you on
yep.
Google Sheets? Are you using
Yeah.
Stessa for your accounting platform? How do you send notifications? You know, what are you doing for leases? All that kind of stuff can be really helpful just to kind of give people the nuggets that really push them down the right path.
I
So
like it.
yeah,
I'm
for
just taking
sure.
some notes. Well, let's close on Jacob. What's Jacob got in store as we are in 2026, going to 2027? You still on the path of adding 1 or 2 a year, or what's Jacob's story
So
going forward?
yeah, I'm still in growth mode, so I'm in still build phase here for the next 5 to 7 years, I anticipate. So, I mean, no surprise, but it's one rental at a time. So I probably have 1 to 2 that I'm going to try to acquire this year. And what's a little bit unique is, you know, I will remotely get something under contract. I fly in to do the close. I drive a truck to my storage unit. I get all my tools and my folding table. I move into the rental. I do my remodel for the next 10 days. And finally, I get to come home and be back with my family. So I plan to do that a couple of times this year,
Nice.
and you know, expand the portfolio and try
I
to
have
have some
no
fun.
idea
So.
what's the price point. I mean, we talking 250-ish, or what are we talking?
Yeah, so our 2 bedrooms, you know, when we started, they were like 215. Now they're like 270, right? So, I
Okay.
mean, you know, to be expected. And then our 3 bedrooms are like anywhere 315 to 330. So, yeah.
Now, those are kind of like the after repair values, I'm guessing. Are you going in and buying high value add? So you're buying, stuff in the low 200s and adding sweat equity, or what are we doing?
Yeah, so, you know, again, back to the buy box, like, so our part of our buy box is buying units that are 2000 or newer. So you're talking about when we
Yeah.
buy something,
Yeah.
it's, you
Okay.
know, it's not the full gut job. It's replacing chrome gold that nobody wants to look at anymore, taking out carpet and doing
Yeah.
paint for the most part. We do some countertops and stuff like that, but yeah, that's the kind of remodel that you can expect.
Yeah. Makes
So,
sense. Makes
yeah,
sense.
cool.
Well, Jacob, do you have a presence online? Obviously, you're a part of school, so people can reach out to you there. But where can people follow you, ask questions? What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I'm bridging tenants, and then people can just reach out to me if you have any questions. Reach out to me on school. It's a great community. You know, I strongly encourage people to go out there and join. I was a skeptic, and honestly, I'm feeling like a little bit like, geez, what was I waiting for? And now that I'm there, I'm like totally getting immersed in the culture of the group and trying to help be another one of your go-givers. So it's great. So reach me out to me there.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Again, we need more go-givers that are really doing the work. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you. Keep having a great year, and we'll see you in Vegas.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Michael.
Uh-huh.